Welcome to Recalibrate the podcast. Today I'm here with my friend Natalija. She is a wise woman, an herbalist. She's formulated many formulas for me over the years in working with the plants and figuring out how I can support my health and my hormones and all of these things. And I'm really excited to have her on today because she is just the embodiment of truly a wise woman. Like, she really knows what she's talking about and has a really grounded approach to plants and life and just so much wisdom that she carries. So I'm really excited to have a conversation with her and highlight some of that wisdom. So before we get into it, if you've listened before, you know the deal. We're going to light a candle, take 3 deep breaths together to just ground into the space and really help myself with my nerves that I still get before every podcast. So wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, if you want to join me, if you've got a candle nearby, you can light it. We'll say a little prayer. And let's just start by taking 3 deep breaths. So whatever you're doing, just let out your air and we'll take the deepest breaths we've taken all day. So we'll breathe in through our nose and let it out, maybe even with a sigh. Again, breathe in through the nose and let it out with a sigh. And last one. And let it out. I'm just going to light this candle and say a prayer and ask that the ancestors, all of our loved ones who have passed on and gone before us, they'll be here with us for this podcast and just allow us to feel into what the listeners will benefit from hearing and help us find the words to share our truth eloquently and precisely and clearly so that everyone listening can walk away with a little gem of knowledge that perhaps they didn't have before they were listening, and just call upon the spirit of the plants. So much gratitude for the plants and the ways that they walk with us on this life and bring so much to our bodies and our mental health and our spirits by just being with us and the ways that they let us use them. So thank you to the plants and all of the animals, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, all of the elements. Thank you for providing for us and sharing your wisdom with us and communicating with us. And I'm so grateful to be here. I pray that the technology works on our behalf so that we can communicate this message and this wisdom. And I just pray over us and our words and pray that it reaches the hearts that it needs to reach. Aho. Amen.
Oh, amen. So be it.
Yes. Welcome, Natalija.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. What did I not say? I'm sure I didn't say much about your credentials and who you are and what you do. So perhaps you could give us a more in-depth rundown of who you are and all the things.
Yeah. First off, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. I'll breathe them in and take them into my own. So I actually have a holistic healthcare practitioner degree and certifications in Western herbalism, in yoga, hypnotherapy. I don't really do that anymore, but as well as Reiki. So I do Reiki. I do the Reiki Master Teacher programs for myself and others. I have 2 incredible adult children. And they're just great people. I'm so lucky. And a grandbaby, which is wild and awesome and brings you so much joy if anybody's a grandmother out there, you know that just that whole special key to your heart just change you completely. So
I got goosebumps. That's so cute.
Yeah. She's my little curandera too. She's a really good little medicine woman. Loves to take her herbs and just help me with elderberry syrup and hiking and snacking on plants. She'll spit them out, but she still snacks on them, tries them. So she's awesome. Yeah. Those are my technical credentials anyways.
Yeah. And how long have you been, would you say, working with the plants, or how'd that journey start?
Yeah, so I've been working with the plants for over 20 years. My daughter developed asthma when she was really little. And she had a really bad asthma attack. She turned blue. We had to
Wow.
call 911. Yeah, it was super, super intense and scary. And so, wound up taking her to the hospital. She got diagnosed. We took her to a pediatric pulmonologist. And she had said, I was asking her about growing out of it, or like, what can I do to support her? And she said, nothing. You just give her the meds, and this is the way she's going to be for the rest of her life. And something in my head was just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't know that I believe that. And so I started doing research, and I found my medicine woman, actually, to this day. She lives in Oregon now, but I still have contact with her. Valeria Brighton was my naturopathic doctor that I happened to find. And we took Sheila there, and she changed our food, like how we were eating with her. I was already, I guess in the grand scheme of things, I was already at the beginning of that clean eating. Definitely not how I am here, like how some people, they first start getting into it and they think like Subway is like, I eat Subway, so I'm eating clean. And you're like, ooh, so it was like kind of like in the beginning of that stages. So I already had a knowledge of food in general. And the naturopathic doctor started giving her herbs, and Sheila's 24 now, and she hasn't had an asthmatic issue in over a decade, in a long time.
Wow.
And she was on steroids. We had to do mainstream for a while because, breathing's important.
Yeah.
And asthmatics that's kind of a gentle kind of shift that you have to do, even like as a clinical herbalist. And I could talk about that too. You have to really kind of be gentle with the shifts you do with people that are being affected in their lungs,
Right.
So we tonified her and, built her up. She was on daily steroids, and then got off the steroids, and then started being fine. So she's great. So that really opened my eyes to the proof of plant medicine.
Yeah.
And that to follow my heart in those things, and knowing that there's something different that you could do that can impact you in such a better way,
Right.
And I think a lot of people with herbalism get into herbalism like that. There's either some sort of vent in their life. The plants call you somehow. They get you to come forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I like your approach too. I feel like it's, again, very grounded and wise, that you weren't like all in on one or the other. You kind of took an approach that took the best of both worlds, because there is a place for allopathic medicine in a sense, especially with breathing, and the herbs it's a totally different approach in herbalism than it is allopathic medicine. So sometimes you can use both together to get through something really difficult.
Yeah, so it's deemed integrative medicine now. So it's starting to become more popular. Dr. Andrew Weil and Torona Lodog have a program now down at University of Arizona, where the medical school is, to add in. They have a choice, as doctors are learning to be doctors, to add in integrative medicine. So they actually have a choice now to kind of go into that realm. But the mainstream medical doctor doesn't even have a full semester of dietary classes.
Yeah,
and that's as close as they get. Yeah,
I've heard it's like 8 hours or 12 hours or something on food.
Yeah. And that's like the foundation of everything, is how you eat. So yeah.
Right. So then you helped your daughter and learned, and then did you decide to go to school after that, or?
Yeah. So in the process of the whole thing, me and my husband wind up staying up all night just staring at her, because she had reacted. It was so scary, in the process of her not being able to breathe. She had bronchitis not too long ago. So we'd got a nebulizer. I just happened to be home. Actually, I was leaving to go to a class, and I could hear her in the bathroom. She was sitting her little teeny tiny self, her little legs sticking out, sitting on the toilet. And she's just coughing, turned blue. Her whole stomach is being sucked in and letting go. I'm screaming, call 911. I get the nebulizer and put it on her face, just because it's the first thing my body told me to do. And by the time the the ambulance got there, or the fire truck, her fingernails were still blue in her mouth, but everything else had resolved.
Wow.
So that night, me and him just stayed up all night, just like looking. We did rounds. Like I would stay up for hours, making sure she's okay. Then he would. And I remember putting my hands on her body, just being like, something could happen here. Like I could do something for her in that realm. And when I found my medicine woman, when I found Valeria, I was telling her about that because she was the first person that was really open in that realm, that I could discuss those weird things with that were happening in my life.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, there's this thing called Reiki. And I was like, all right, cool. So she led me to Sweha. And then I did my first Reiki practitioner there. And then I met my, my teacher, Brandy, who's taught me so much in my spiritual life, another just young, beautiful being, that just kind of guided me. And then she told me about herbalism. She's like, well, there's this thing called herbalism. And Sweha actually did an herbalism program. And at that time I could do the associate degree and get financial aid.
Oh, cool.
So I just did the whole program so I could get financial aid.
Yeah.
And so that was 2000. So 2007, when I started the Reiki through her, and then the end of 2008, or no, 2009, I started the herbalism program.
Wow.
And then I graduated in 2010.
Yeah.
So no, it was end of 2008, graduated in 2010.
Okay. Isn't that crazy? That's almost 20 years ago.
I know. Well, I started using herbs with Sheila when she was almost 2.
Yeah.
So she's 24. So it's been 22 years.
Yeah.
So that's what really introduced me to herbs, because she gave me these tinctures. And I was like, what are these tinctures for?
Right.
You know?
And then you were like, okay, I can learn this, and started learning yourself.
Yeah.
And then now you work full time with the plants and doing consultations with people. And what does that look like?
So there's different aspects to herbalism, right? There's kitchen medicine, there's making medicine, there's cultivating, there's harvesting, there's clinical herbalism. So clinical is where we sit down one-on-one and we custom formulate. And in that world, I do recommend that you find an herbalist that has some sort of background with anatomy, physiological responses, as well as like drug and herb interactions. There is a lot of people out there that are claiming that they're clinical herbalists and they don't have any like background at all in it. But you don't need any kind of certification to practice herbalism. Like herbalism in its own right is a rebellious act. So everybody should be practicing herbalism in some form. But the clinical part is a little bit more in depth. And I guess I get on my TikTok soapbox for a moment, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's get on the TikTok soapbox.
So on TikTok, or social media in general, I really pick on TikTok, even though I don't have a TikTok, but I really pick on it. So I also work in an herb shop here in Chandler, Arizona. And we get a lot of people that come in and ask us questions about they find out about herbalism through social media. Right. Which can be great as an awakening process, but there's some big fundamental issues with that. One being that there's, Dr. TikTok telling you what to do, from telling little kids to take melatonin. There's an actual doctor that's been on TikTok that tells parents to give their little kids melatonin, which is bad all the way around. And then up to bad medicine making. We've seen people just boiling herbs in oil. So you'd basically just have fried herbs versus a medicated oil to put on your body. To telling people to put cayenne tincture directly in your eye. So we've had people come in and talk about that. Like, it's pretty epic. So then I actually get people that come in that claim that they're clinical herbalists. They come into the shop and they want to make a tea for their client. And they're asking me what herbs to use. And so at that point, I'm like, well, I don't think you should be a clinical herbalist. You shouldn't be formulating for your client if you don't know how to formulate for your client. Yeah. Not that I don't discuss things with my mentors and, colleagues, but this is a different process of not even knowing what herbs go together to help this person. Right. The other issue that kind of happens with that is dialogue of, using words like cure, using words like treat. We're not allowed to do that. we fall under the Supplement Act as regulations as herbalists. And so you start to use some of these technical words, we start to get flagged.
Yeah.
And the FDA has been trying to shut down herbs since the 60s. In the 60s, they used to go in mom pop shops and just shut it down, take all of their stuff and leave. And we still have advocates out there that are fighting for our rights to work with herbs, to work with plants as medicine.
Wow.
So having people with integrity is a really big thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to clinical herbalism too.
Well, and clinical herbalism is more in depth. You know, like anyone can put freaking astragalus in their soup. Like that's what I do. I put some astragalus in my soup and I'm like, this is going to help our immune systems. And, you know, there's nothing that crazy about it. You know, it's just like, that's just what I'm doing. And that's different than saying like, oh, you have this problem. Let me try and figure out what I can put together. And then you have all, like you said, there's consideration about what medications they're on, or maybe what medications they've even been on, or there's just so much more to it rather than just like supporting your immune system with some fun herbs in your kitchen, as opposed to like insinuating that you have the knowledge that you can help someone overcome something major. Like clinical herbalism is a little bit more of a in-depth major process, it seems, than just kitchen witching.
Yeah, totally. Because there's also an art of formulating so that the formula is balanced and in harmony. We use more herbs that are can be restricted in some way, or you have to have some sort of knowledge and background to use them. What you're talking about with astragalus is food is medicine.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of herbs that can be used as food as medicine. And I think we really need to be concentrating on those rather than some rare herb in the Amazonian forest somewhere that people see on TikTok and come in and want to buy. And we all don't have that herb.
Yeah. And like when you've done what would you consider what you did for me, like clinical herbalism more so? Yeah. Okay. Just making sure I got, because you wrote a whole thing for me. Like I got like a 5 to 7 page thing, and it's like this herb does this, and this herb supports this herb and does this, and like you should consider eating these foods, and like a whole thing. Like it was great, and I loved it because I could visualize, like when I take it, I'm like, oh yeah, this herb is helping this, and kind of put that intention into it.
Yeah, because what we want, any basis of herbalism is educating. So I really want like the person to know like why they're taking these herbs and why they might seek them out again. You know, my teacher Joanne Sanchez taught us that that we're just educating people. That's all we're doing. So the protocol, what you're talking about, we always talk about dietary lifestyle suggestions. You know, some talk about supplements and some don't. I prefer food as medicine first, always. But when we're having an issue with breaking things down in our digestive system, then we're not able to absorb things properly and we get malnourished.
Right.
Or if we're super malnourished in certain aspects like vitamin D, it's really hard to get your vitamin D back up just by the sunlight if you're super malnourished in it and have digestive issues, because then vitamin D comes in, sits on your skin, has to go transdermis, your liver has to convert it into something usable for your body, and then you have to absorb it. Right. So if you have any underlying digestive issues, you're not doing that process right. So then we might supplement with vitamin D temporarily to get that up so that you feel better.
Yeah.
Because nourishment, like vitamin, I'll keep running with vitamin D. The vitamin D, if you're low in vitamin D, you will feel depressed. Like that's just part of the mechanism of vitamin D, that SAD, seasonal attention deficit, that people get in the Pacific Northwest.
Seasonal affective disorder.
Affective, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
I put that with
ADHD. Yeah.
There you go. Yes. Yeah, so people get severely depressed by not having that. And it's such an easy remedy. I mean, first, get out in the sun. If I'm telling somebody to take vitamin D, I'm also encouraging them to get out to the sun,
right,
and have that absorbed. But they don't have it there. They have it, 2 days a year they get the sun over there. And I think it's this, to kind of go back into a little bit with allopathic medicine, I think it's malpractice for doctors not to check that first.
Right.
Like for you to go into an establishment and with trust, you know, and ask them for something for your sadness, and they just immediately put you on antidepressants or anti-anxieties. And sometimes people need that. I'm not really judging that, but more time than not, they could just do maybe a round of blood work and see that you have some other deficiency somewhere, and we could just get that up. So those are important.
Yeah.
And that's your fundamentals. And so herbalism supports our fundamentals. It's not the replacement for. So I think in today's world, people are really guiding themselves towards taking an herb to get rid of something, like you would with allopathic medicine. You'll take a pill to get rid of some sort of symptom that your body's having because it's uncomfortable, right? But in reality, we need to listen to the symptom that the body's having. That's the only way the body talks to us, is through feeling and sensation. And so if we're not listening to that and we keep taking that away, we've now created this disconnect between our own wisdom and spirit and the wholeness of who we are. And herbs can help reconnect us to that, but there's no herb that takes away any of that response. It supports it. It supports the body, loves the body, holds the body. Now, that being said, I think it's KP Kolsa talks about being kind when somebody comes in with acid reflux. I might talk to them about food and their lifestyle to get them to start changing that, because that's the root, right? As herbalists, we want to get to the root cause of what's going on. But he says something along the lines of, like, out of the kindness of our heart, we might offer a cold infusion of marshmallow root or slippery elm to help soothe the tissue of the digestive system so you're not in pain all the time. But it's not going to get rid of the problem. You still have to do the work. So I think it's called basically integration too. Like, I don't think anybody's willing to integrate in today's world. They just want to take something, get rid of it, disassociate.
Yeah.
Totally normal, right? But we need to get back into the foundations of building. So food is a major foundation with herbalism. And it's usually where I start because it's the most pushback that I get.
Yeah. It's like, no, don't take my Doritos or whatever.
Yeah, you know? Totally. I mean, totally. Once your body has settled into that dis-ease motion, you're lessening your free days. You know what I mean? The impact that the body has on just taking a free day and eating your bag of Doritos on a free day when you have some sort of cardiovascular disease or something like that is so grand at that point that it's not worth it anymore. Right. So the normal healthy person, if you can have your free days, you could do what you want. Don't be hard on yourself mentally, you know? Right. But once you've already kind of settled into this place where the body needs some more support, you need to have a little bit more dedication towards it. Yeah. And that's what I'm usually helping people with, is people that are in that realm
of needing more support.
Yeah. So their body just needs to eat better, you know?
And the thing about clinical herbalism too, like, you know, we've met multiple times and I already am like, I should meet with Natalija again. Like, it's not a one time, like, I'm going to do this. Like, we've already shifted my formula and what herbs I'm drinking and working with, you know, once. And I imagine if we met again, it would shift maybe again, you know, because I'm a dynamic person and I'm changing. And so like my body needs different support as I'm, you know, like I was healing my cycle and then it was like, well, I want to heal my cycle and I don't want to impact my fertility. So then we like shifted it because I shifted. And so it's not like a one and done, take this, whatever, it changes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause we're ever evolving on our own, right? Yeah. So we try to meet. So the first initial consult is 2 hours long. It's kind of a chunk of time, you know, and then we're figuring out the protocol at that point. And I want to co-create something that's doable. So I might give you a big, long protocol. And I know what it's like to not feel good. Like I know what it's like to be in that place of chronic discomfort. And to have somebody all of a sudden give you like this, you know, giant list of stuff to change could be overwhelming. And when your body, your physical body is overwhelmed and living in life in general through chronic disease, right? It's overwhelmed is what's happening in the physical self. That's going to be like too much. So I always encourage my clients or people in general, just 10%, whatever you want to change, you're just going to find something that's 10% doable. And when you feel really good in that, then we can add on more.
Totally.
But I'm definitely going to push towards food. You know, I've had to fire clients before because they wouldn't let go of their Starbucks and McDonald's. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do to help you. at this point, you know? Because part of what I do is believing in people, you know, like I believe in your process. I believe exactly where you're at. I believe your hardships. I believe in holding you through this process and that you can do this, you know? And then if there ever comes a point in my mind where I'm like, not necessarily don't believe in you anymore, but kind of like, you're not ready for this, then we're not going to work out in that situation. You can find a different practitioner that might support you in your, I don't want to say faults, but, you know, like in those wounds that you're still kind of settled in.
Right. And that's the danger of, like, back to the TikTok herbalism and things, like, it's just astonishing to me that people on the internet think they can even just tell the whole internet what something is good for, because, like, there's so many diverse situations and people and things. It's like, how do you know that this is going to work for everyone? And, like,
exactly
the obscurity sometimes of the herbs, like you said, you know, why are we pulling some herb from Peru when we're in Colorado? Like, obviously I should look to maybe mullein, which is like fucking everywhere here, you know? So it's like, how can you possibly know? Like, so what are some of the risks or like dangers, just to like distill it in for people? Like, are there real risks to like following a you know, like a TikTok doctor or, you know, social media doctor who's saying like, use this herb for this? Like, what are some of the things you could come up against? Or
so one of them, like one aspect of things is plants are my friends. So I get really upset when people are talking bad about my friends, or two, if they're buying all the stuff and then to think of somebody throwing it away or not using it because it doesn't work. So herbalism, it's about, sometimes where it's trial and error. Sometimes it's like, let's make this formula, see how it feels, or let's have you drink this tea and let's see how it feels. And then come back to me and then we'll add in, do this, do that. That's the beauty of having a clinical herbalist help you and guide you, or some educated platform.
Right.
But with Dr. TikTok, some people actually claim that they're doctors, to be honest. And so there's no credentials behind them at all. And then they're talking about things like I don't know, can I say particular people?
I think if it's factual, you can.
There's now his name just totally flew out of my head, so maybe I'm not allowed.
He's like, never,
no, don't do that. The medical medium.
Oh,
is a really big person. Yeah. And so, and I haven't seen anything with that person in a long time, but the one that really got me was that they were posting a lot about ginger and how ginger is the cure all for cancer. And that's one, it can get us in trouble. You can't say that. Like, actually, since 2020, the FDA has gone into a lot of our old school manufacturing companies like Herb Farm and Herbal Vitality up north, and made them change the names of their formulas. So if you notice, like, a lot of names are changing of their formulas on the shelves because they don't want you claiming anything.
Well, that's dangerous. Then you have people who have cancer who are like, I just need to take a bunch of ginger, and that's not.
No. Exactly. There's no, and I do integrative cancer care. And so there's not one herb for anything. There's not one herb. I mean, I love, and I'm not discounting any single herb, because I could definitely take a strong cup of chamomile tea and have a really wonderful, beautiful experience with that as a medicine. But when you're talking about something that's so ingrained in the body at the moment, like so imbalanced, you can't be telling people to just take one herb to cure cancer. Like, that's malpractice, and it's not fair, you know?
Yeah.
There's another one that people are coming in a lot with. So soursop is really huge for that.
Soursop is big right now.
Yeah. And so graviola is the scientific name, and I've used graviola in tinctures, and it's been used clinically as a whole formula, not just graviola, in helping people go through their process of cancering and inflammation and different aspects of things. But just drinking the cup of tea is not going to work. But it's so ingrained in social media right now that people will argue with you about that, you know?
Well, and I've looked into soursop specifically, and like it can cause digestive issues. Like there's risks to it as well. Like if you're having too much of it, isn't there? Or
I don't
no?
know. I mean, I
Is
guess
that
because I've
just
never
AI
given
bullshit
it
too?
might have been, yeah, because the fruit is like something that's really nourishing and um, like fruit it is. Like fruit in general is a uh, antioxidant and it kind of helps protect the cells from free radicals.
Yeah.
Um, but the leaf, we do use the medicine as leaf. I think is more kind of nourishing. I'm almost thinking like in the line of like moringa,
Mm,
but I think moringa is much more impactful.
yeah.
So like I would offer people to take more of moringa than I would soursop leaf.
Yeah. And
Um,
oh, sorry, go ahead. But I wanted to also hear what you were gonna say about. I want to hear this melatonin
oh,
rant.
duh, that one is like, I did a video on my social media about it because that's so disturbing. So that's been going around for at least 5 years that I've noticed, probably more. There's actual said doctors on social media telling parents to give little kids melatonin. And so melatonin is a hormone that our body produces. It's in our gut. And it's, created or converted in the gut. So the gut health is like really important in general. But if we start introducing a hormone into the body, then the body doesn't have to produce it anymore. Right. So some of the issue that happens with hormone replacement of any kind is that the body decides it's not going to. And then at some point, that melatonin dose isn't going to work for you anymore. And you're not going to be able to get off of it. Right. You can, but you're going to have a really rough time not sleeping for a heck of a moment. Right.
Yeah.
So melatonin is kind of a special, it's not only the sleep hormone, it helps with anxiety and immunity. Like it does, like all hormones in our body do multiple facet things.
Right.
So now you're giving tiny children, which should not have a melatonin production issue. Melatonin, not just a little bit. I don't know if you've ever taken melatonin. Like when I'm out of town, I can take like less than 1 milligram. Like I'm not a 3 milligram, 5 milligram person. I'll be groggy for days if I do that. So my body doesn't need melatonin, right? But so with little kids, they're giving them 5 milligrams of melatonin. It's 3 to 5 milligrams of melatonin for a little kid. And so in my mind, the problem is that you're creating an addictive response now to this child. Eventually that melatonin is not going to work anymore. And then you're going to have a really big problem. And you just set that child up for its whole life of having to renegotiate how to create melatonin in its gut because you gave it to them most likely because you're just an exhausted parent and you just want them to go to sleep.
Right.
You don't want to do your parental duties. Like I know parents who give kids Benadryl to make them go to sleep. Like that's not right.
No.
So the melatonin is not right to do with little kids. The only caveat I will say to that is if they have extreme digestive issues, some autistic, in that realm possibly could be helpful at a very small dose.
Right.
So I had a grandmother who came into the shop and she was trying to help her daughter get the child off of melatonin. This is where I first heard it. And I was like, oh, why is 2-year-old? Why are they on melatonin? And she's like, Dr. TikTok, somebody on TikTok told her to do it. And she was giving her, she'd upped it to 5. Now this little kid was on 5 milligrams of melatonin. And it wasn't working anymore. And the kid wasn't able to regulate and go to sleep. So they were trying to figure out how to get them off the melatonin and put them on something else. No, the grandmother was.
Yeah.
The mom wasn't. She was still just wanting to up the dose of that melatonin. The rest of that kid is going to struggle in that realm. So the body has its innate wisdom. And when you take that away from it, it just wants to take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
It's not going to create that or interact with that environment. Fevers are another good example of that, where if we keep taking fevers away, eventually the body's like, okay, I don't know how to do that anymore. And it's going to take a moment for it to figure out how to recalibrate and actually have fevers, which are really important.
To recalibrate, you say?
Yeah. Look at that. That just came out.
Wait, so what do you mean, like your body won't know how to do this is a huge one, at least in my personal life, and like also I just see a lot of people, like I feel like there's a lot of, give them Tylenol if the fever's too big and blah, blah, blah. So like, what do you mean that the body won't be able to figure out how to do it?
Yeah, it'll have to relearn it.
How to have a fever?
How to have a fever. If you've taken away the fever every time that you've gotten sick, the body's going to have to figure out how to relearn it. And so when you get sick the next few times and it has to try to figure that out, it can be really uncomfortable. So it might be unproductive, what we would call it. So it might be kind of low grade weird. It might spike and down, up and down. It could go really high. The fever is one of the most important parts of being sick. It's what makes the virus uncomfortable in the body, are the bacteria. So we need to allow that process to happen to get better. There's ways herbally to mediate it. I raised my kids holistically. It's not easy. So I definitely get, at some point parents being like, okay, I'm not going to do this at this point. But there's a whole bunch of shit coming out about Tylenol too. So I'd be careful about all that also.
So you can,
but yes,
like what would you do? Like I've heard of feverfew. I mean, I grew that in my garden and I feel like that's helpful for fevers. It's called feverfew.
Totally. Yeah. The key thing with fevers is when you're trying to help break a fever, you want the liquid to be warm, not cold. So, and we have herbs like feverfew, elderberry or elderflower, mints. Those are all really good when you drink them warm to help the body encourage it to break the fever. And so sweating, right? You can do wet sock therapy, anything that helps the body to get it to start to sweat. If it does get high, little kids can do 103. They can cope with that. We can't. As we get older, we get a little weird. And so a tepid, never cold washcloth, across the neck to cool down this main arteries in the neck. You can get in a bath, a tepid bath. Just try not to get chilled, and don't put yourself in something overly hot.
Okay.
So we're trying to find balance. And then the fever will break eventually. And when it does, you'll just improve from there.
Yeah.
Like it's such a big part. I love hydrotherapy. So wet sock therapy, like I said.
What's
but
that?
You can also, so hydrotherapy is where we use water as a source. So like wet sock therapy is where you take a pair of cotton socks and you get it damp. You wring them out really good. And then I'll even wrap them in a dry towel and wring them out really good. Put those on the feet with wool socks over them. And then you let that stay on your feet. Just get in bed, curl up, let them stay on your feet until the socks are dry. The cotton socks will actually be dry. So I usually just will sleep in them until I wake up the next day. And that's like one of my first response. There's so many things that you can do right away when you're getting sick to help lessen the impact of it.
Right.
And that's one of them.
And that I've heard that like helps bring the blood flow to the feet or something. And
immunity.
Okay.
It helps it. Yeah. So it helps the immune system pick up. Yeah. So you can do it. I've witnessed people do it with different kinds of autoimmune diseases in their body, like the full body. So you can take like a cotton sheet and just run it through your washer on the spin cycle, get it wet on the spin cycle. And then you take that cotton sheet, you wrap yourself around with it, and then you put a wool blanket around your whole body. And then you just sit there until you sweat.
Wow.
Until that blanket the cotton one starts to dry up.
Yeah.
And I've known people to get rid of antibodies from different autoimmune diseases just by doing that, adding that in as part of the protocol.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because we're so quick. I mean, people I hear are just so afraid of fevers. Like they're like, well, you're not taking them to the doctor and giving them Tylenol. And if they have a spike or fever, you need to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, the fever's working on behalf of your body to, like you said, make the virus uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's not scary. It can be scary, I suppose, but.
Yeah, somebody has a history of like fever seizures, and you know, obviously you want to kind of keep it more in the lower range. But 102 is a nice fever. If you can get yourself to 102, you don't feel good.
Yeah.
But like if you can get yourself to that 102, then and ride it out for as long as you can, you'll beat that sickness. Whatever sicknesses are going around now, they're different. They're manufactured in a different way where they take over your body, your whole vital essence. It's crazy. the things that are going on around right now. And people are constantly sick.
Yeah. Dude, my stepkids are always sick, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you guys always sick? What's going
Yeah.
on? But also, it's like, we try to encourage them to ride the fever out, because I'm like, your fever is actually helping you. Like, it's almost like a shift in idea, or the way you think about things, of like, symptoms are not something to necessarily always shove down. Like, I try to tell them too, I'm like, the mucus that you're creating is helping your body move the things, the dirt, the illness or virus or whatever it is. Like, you don't necessarily want to shut all of this down, the fever, the mucus, all of that stuff, because it's actually coming up. I was like, what if we thought about like symptoms as a sign that your body is already healing, not a sign that your body is getting sick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
You know, like, obviously symptoms are uncomfortable, and we can support ourselves through them, but they're also, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have seem to think they're like working for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, even if you just think of it, the fundamental state of your body's just telling you something.
Right.
Then we got to listen.
Yeah.
Like, the body's just going to react in the way that it's going to react. If we don't listen, it's going to keep getting bigger.
Yeah.
The 2x4 eventually comes up and smacks you in the head. But that mucus is just the discharge of any sickness, is getting it out of the body.
Right.
Right. Getting dead, sick tissue out.
Yeah.
There's a thing my naturopathic doctor, Valeria, my medicine woman, talks about, is the New German medicine. I don't know if you've ever looked into New German medicine. It's not new. I don't know why they call it that, but like, but it's a huge thing. But like, basically what they talk about is, whenever we have any kind of impact in the body, so in the mental body, physical body, you have to have a discharge at some point to clear out that. So that could be from an actual physical trauma, your shoulder's all messed up and you've had surgery or whatever. At some point, when you start going through your healing, you have to get rid of all that scar tissue. You have to get rid of the trauma that's held inside of the shoulder. And some of it's emotional. So some emotions are going to come up. And then some of it's actual physiologically responsive, right? Like this tissue that needs to be discharged. And so diarrhea, throwing up, urinating, sweating, snot, like all of those things are a vital part of getting that discharge out. And Valeria, so you and I have this commonality of grief, right? I mean, a lot of humans have this commonality of grief, but my husband passed away almost 4 years ago now, which is wild. And she gave us a little session after he passed away, and I got sick within a month of that period of time after he passed. And she was talking to me about New German medicine. She's like, the closer you get sick to the event, the better it is. Right. So my body just had to like start discharging some of that tissue that was damaged from the grief. Because if anybody's gone through grief, it's like, you haven't had physical trauma, but it sure feels like it.
My tooth died.
Yeah, wow.
Like right on my grief meridian, my tooth died when my dad died. Yeah.
Yeah. It's wild. Like, you feel like your heart is going to get ripped out of your chest. Like, it's so visceral. And that's the way that I try to explain people about how emotions affect the body. Because that's another thing we sit and try to talk about in a session or in general, is like, well, how are you feeling? Like, what's the emotions that are going on? And some people are like, oh, they don't affect me. And I'm like, okay, well, yes, they do. They send a whole cascade response of hormones into our body, so we feel it, you know? And we can't get away from any of those emotions. Like, we're human. So anger, joy, pleasure, grief, all of them are what we're going to experience throughout our life.
Totally.
We're not going to get away from any of those, but
nope. No, we're not. Thank you, Natalija. Thank you for that wisdom, because I'm like over here, I'm like, I'm pretty sure this isn't going away. Why are we acting like this grief or this suffering or this anger or this sadness is ever going to go away? Like, it will just change form. Yeah,
totally. And what we're trying to learn how to do is actually deal with them and listen to them.
Yeah.
You know, give them a voice, let them be for a moment.
Yeah.
And then move forward. So even talking earlier about food, like, food is usually my number one pick when I tell people, like, the first thing you kind of have to get into is like looking about how you're eating. And Scott's death taught me about stress management. Like I already knew stress management. I didn't change anything how I was eating during that time, but the amount of stress that I was under was epic.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I talk about stress management is almost more vital than how we eat. Because if we're eating foods that bring us joy in some way, I'm not giving you a free ticket to go out and buy McDonald's and Starbucks all the time. But like when we're eating foods that are more joyful and we are thinking more joyful about the process, that helps us articulate whatever we're doing anyways.
Right.
So being able to adapt and being able to not control your stress, but like learn to navigate through your stress is vital. Like it's something that we just really have to do in order to maintain homeostasis.
So what are some examples of how you might work through or manage or hold or process your stress? Because I feel like I need that in my own life.
Yeah. A daily practice of some kind is nice. So even like 5 minutes. So I teach meditation, but it's not just like this deep meditation where we sit down and we kind of calm the mind down and we're in it for a while, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We're not all monks living on a hill. We're actually in the world.
Right.
So just the act of mindfulness, they're all free tools, by the way.
Right.
Like, so the act of mindfulness, just being here present. So when you're taking a shower, you're just showering. Put your list somewhere else, you know, let yourself just really connect to the senses, which is the other aspect. So act of mindfulness, connect to the senses. So your sense of touch, feel, sight, hearing, whatever you like the most out of those. Put on some sounds that you like, look visually, like our eyes that are optical part of our eyes use over 60% of our brain. So our eyes I've been researching a lot more about the eyes and how they impact our stress and our anxiety, even our movement, like being able to scan and move. So eyes also can relate to chronic pain in the body. It's pretty wild. But look at something that's beautiful. Get out into nature and look at plants, right? Look at things that are green, things that kind of change the hues in the eyes,
right.
You know, look out to the distance, and then breath. So we have nature, we have the act of mindfulness, using your senses, and breathing. Like the breath is one of the most impactful things that we can do. We do it consciously and subconsciously, right? Like we're not telling ourselves to breathe all the time, but we have the gift to be able to interact with it at any point. So that tells you how strong it is and how important it is.
Right.
And so learning to breathe slow and deep and expanding the breath through all the parts of the body, not just your chest, but your back and your hips, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And then your body starts to be like, so now I can take a deep breath and just drop in, right? So I've trained my body. That's the practice of it, is to be able to just breathe deep and be like, okay, I'm here now. And the more you practice that, then when you do get in those situations that are more seemingly negative, you can just take a deep breath and your body will be like, all right, I know what we're doing now. And then try to just be clear about that, because you'll fail at it. That's totally fine. You know, like we do. We have to rewire our brain to think a totally different way. And that takes a lot of time to do that, and consistency. But stress management, so outside, nature, taking deep, full breaths, just being mindful, trying to do one task at a time. You know, like if I'm in a stressful situation, I'm just going to deal with that for a moment and not get into all the other things I have to deal with around that.
Or catastrophizing what that could be. You're like, okay, just focus on what.
Yeah, because I do that. Like it's been ingrained in me. My dad is a Vietnam vet, and he's bipolar and alcoholic, and he has some big issues, and he's been my biggest teacher. Like he's my biggest sage for boundaries and how I love myself and how I show up, and teaching me a lot in that realm. I
forgot where you were going with that. It's okay. It happens to all of us.
There you go.
Just dealing with one thing at a time and not catastrophizing is what.
Yeah. So it's ingrained in me. He's like taught me certain things that's been ingrained in my life. So I have to, I choose to not participate in parts of those.
Right.
And sometimes I have to give it a voice, but I'm a big worrier, you know?
Yeah.
So I have to like, really hone in on my practice and my spirituality for that. I feel like it's really important. It's another thing that I think we've lost in general, is a connection to something that's bigger than us. And that's whatever you call it. Like, you know, it just could be the word love. It could be the tree outside by your house. It could be God. It could be whatever it is. But something bigger than us pulls us through when we're in those dark times.
Yeah.
So,
and we're all dealing with it, you know, like every person has like stuff they've, you know, like we are an extension of our parents in a sense. And so like we're dealing with their issues and the stuff we learned when we were really young, you know, and you're not 25 and you're still dealing with it, you know, like these things don't go away. It just, you just kind of learn different ways to deal with it. And then it's kind of like comes up again and you're like, oh, there's my worry again. Like now it's coming up in this form. And so you just kind of keep, you know, processing it. I feel like we're so caught up in this idea that somehow we're going to get better or get over it. And it's just going to be done one day. Like one day we'll be done healing or, you know, growing. And it just doesn't seem that that's the case.
No, it can get easier the more that we surrender to the process, you know, but, yeah, when I started this, cause part of what I started was like, the study of yoga, over 20 years ago. And I remember thinking that I was going to just reach samadhi. I was just going to get to this place of pure joy, you know? And I can reach that place, but it's not sustainable in a physical form, you know?
Right.
One of the analogies I like to use for that is, if we had a buffet of everything that we loved all the time, eventually we'll get tired of it. It's just human nature. So you have to have the contrast of life to inspire us to be something different and do something different.
Right.
And I think that's important in today's world is growth and inner curiosity about the self and how we work, and not blame other people anymore.
Right.
Like I can't, you know, I can't, what's the point of me blaming my dad for anything? Like his life has been hard, and I'm sad for him, the things that he had to go through and experience and see. But you know, I also have to preserve myself and protect myself in that realm.
Yeah.
So it's a balance of learning how to do all of that, you know?
Right. And take your power back. Because really the only thing you can control is yourself and how you choose to react to things.
Yeah, totally.
It's been a big lesson for me lately.
Yeah. I think a lot of us, right? Because it's the Aquarian age. So a lot of us are growing. And if we had tools before we kind of entered this, then we're feeling a little bit like, okay, I really got to hone in on my tools right now.
Yeah.
But think of the mainstream people that don't.
Yeah.
And they don't want to either. Like that's up to them to decide. So don't working at the shop that I work at. We get people that are coming in that treat us in a way. It was like, what's going on in your life?
Yeah.
Where you think that's okay to come in and attack a couple of women working at an herb shop because of your delusion of whatever's going on in your life. Like we gotta own our own actions, you know.
Totally. Yeah.
And be involved in it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And just to, I guess, bring it back to like the plants and what we can do. So like, obviously, you know, you don't want to say ginger can cure every cancer or whatever, but you can also, everyone could get some ginger and incorporate it into their kitchen, and it can bring other benefits. And I think the same is true with like a lot of other herbs that people probably already have in their kitchen. And I feel like we forget that a lot of these spices that we work with are actually herbs and plants, and they come from the earth, and they have like benefits besides just flavoring your chicken. So like, what are some ways that we can, you know, I feel like it's interesting because we're like, don't listen to people on the internet talking about herbs, but it's different because we're not saying like, this is a cure-all, and instead it's just sharing like, you know, knowledge about herbs that everyone can use. And there's I think a difference, like we can draw that distinction, right, between like sharing information and sharing like, it's almost like inflammatory, very clickbaity information, you know. I think there's a difference.
Yeah. So, Yeah, I mean, it's a good point because there's so much, there are a lot of really good positive influencers out there like that are talking about herbal medicine. Um, it's hard to differentiate between them. So I'll answer that in two parts.
Yeah.
So one way is like maybe possibly even look at their credentials. If they have a website, ask them a question if they can't answer your question, because AI is a really big thing that we have to be really mindful of. So there's herbal books being written just from AI. People are writing content just from AI. Like somebody can write a whole class on AI. Like I teach about herbalism. It's like one of my most joyful things to do.
Yeah.
And so, but I write all my classes and I'm able to speak on the herbs because I know them.
Right.
So if you are seeing people who are teaching, and they're not really, you can ask them a question and then they're not able to respond to that. One is resources. We always say, ask somebody for resources if you're curious about where it's at, and they should be able to give you that.
Right.
Like I find that empowering to other people to help them kind of do critical thinking.
Right.
The last page of my website is also a community page, has a whole bunch of good herbalists that I'm always adding to that you can look up. The AI aspect of things, though, with books is like research the author. If there's nothing about the author except for the book, then they're probably AI.
Yeah.
There's a couple really popular books out right now that are all AI written.
Really?
And we get people into the store. Well, I can't. One of them's called 300 Herbs or something. It's got like a picture of an apothecary on the front.
I think I've been targeted that on social media.
And so, the tricky one with that one is that the said author is supposed to be a real person. She's like somebody who was on the show alone. But the information that she has in there is not good. Right. Like we've had it on a lot of herbalism forums of like, ooh, one is she's talking about mugwort is mugwort replaces your oxys, your what are the other word for oxycontin?
Oxycodone.
Yeah, like codone's like
opiates.
Is opiates, yeah.
I'm like words.
Yeah. So like mugwort's an opiate, and it is so not an opiate. So that's one other thing, right? Like, so you got somebody who's addicted to opiates, which is a lot of people, and you're telling them to do mugwort and they try to get off their opiates. It's not going to work for them. Yeah. So there's stuff like that. There's a mushroom book that's out there that I guess that somebody actually went out and harvested mushrooms based off the book and got sick and was hospitalized.
Wow.
Like, yeah. So those are the big dangers of like, oh crap. The witchdom that's on social media, like, people that are claiming that they're witches, is also pretty epic. So people looking for belladonna, people looking for these herbs that if you take too much of them, and too much is not a lot, will kill you.
Yeah.
Those are big aspects of things you have to be careful of. But back to the ginger.
Yeah, I like that though. You kind of were helping people understand, because it is like, it's a fine line, right? There's definitely good information on social media. And like, I'm very thankful to some of the like credible herbalists I follow who are just sharing like information. Like I think of like Saja.
Yes.
He will do like nettles and then like just talk about nettles. And there's a difference between that and like the sensationalized quick fix. This is the answer to everything. You just need this one book. Like, that's not really true. Yeah. Most herbalists I know have like 500 books or at least 10. Yeah. Because you're pulling
not enough space.
You're pulling from so many different sources and like teachers and perspectives to get this, very informed approach. Whereas AI doesn't have that nuance or the capability to pull from all these different teachings to give you like a really informed, dialed down approach. It leaves so much out.
Yeah, totally.
So,
which also brings up another good point, Kala, that I like to point out is that the basis of herbalism is herbs, is plants, right? And so I love my books and definitely kind of got into the realm through the books. But book learning is only a very small part of herbalism. You have to get out in nature with the plants and learn about the botany of a favorite plant and how it grows and why it grows and the community it grows in. And, why is it choosing that area? Because, plants, the constituents that they're made of is, that's my granddaughter.
He's so cute.
The constituents that the plants are made of is based off of its environment, right? So we're all only a product of our environment. And so you really want to know your plants in a whole different way.
And taste
rather
them.
than just, like as an herbalist to make you a tea, I've tasted all the plants I'm giving you, right? So I can formulate them in a way that hopefully is compliant and nice, but the taste tells our brain, the smell tells our brain, and these are all information that tells our brain and our body on how that medicine is going to affect us. It's a big part of herbalism. So if you're not out there in the plants and working with the plants and sitting with the plants or getting your hands dirty in some form out in nature, then that's where you should probably start with herbalism.
Go ahead.
I was just going to go into the kitchen part.
I was just going to say real quick on that point. I just had this experience the other day where Jake and I are growing thyme, and I've never eaten, like, this was surprising to me. I'm almost like embarrassed to say this, but I had never eaten fresh thyme. And I ate just like a couple little things of fresh thyme, and I was like, wow, this is like, it's almost numbing in a sense in your mouth. Like, I was like, wow, you could just like, if you had like a sore throat or something, you could just like suck on some thyme and like eat some thyme, and it would almost like I just learned so much more about the plant by eating fresh thyme. And so there's probably, I would guess, you've had like a lot of the herbs you've worked with, you've had it fresh, you've had it dried, you've had it tinctured, you've had it in a tea, and you just learn so much more about the plant that like I wouldn't have necessarily read that in a book, but when I tasted it and felt it to myself, it informed something more about the plant to me that I'm not going to read in a book, and that now I have like a visceral memory tied to that I wouldn't have gained by just reading about it,
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying earlier, like plants are my friends.
Yeah.
And so how you get to know a friend, sometimes we have to spend that one-on-one time and like really sit with it and chew it. Lisa Gonora is another fantastic herbalist that talks about, she's the constituent queen. And I've had the pleasure of meeting her a couple of times, and she talks about something that's called using our organoleptic senses. And so that's where we sit and we smell something and then we taste it. We have all these taste receptor sites in our tongue, and we're so quick to eat now without any seasoning. We'll be lucky if you can put pepper on anything, right?
Yeah.
And so we're not really having the whole experience with it. So like, let yourself smell it, let yourself taste it, let it sit in the mouth, just breathe, see what it does to you. That's the best way to get to know a plant.
Yeah.
So now you know the analgesic part of thyme.
Yeah.
Like this part that helps with pain maybe and inflammation. And
it was crazy. I was like, wow, thyme. I had and it was so potent. Like I just had a couple little leaves, and then I was like, well, now I need to put some on the other side of my tongue because my tongue feels like unbalanced,
Yeah, all over. Yeah, you have so many different receptor sites for sure. That's a great experience. I'm glad you had that.
Yeah. So let's talk. Let's get into the kitchen, Natalija. What can we?
Yeah. So it's super easy. So a lot of people don't think that they've really ever had experience with herbalism, but I asked them if they've ever had a cup of chamomile tea or peppermint tea or ginger, these things that are pretty prevalent in kitchens nowadays, honey, good local raw honey.
Yeah.
That's herbalism. So the base of it, I think every home should have a kitchen herbalist that knows how to help with their families and encourage their families to get well and be well, and to stay well. And that is all the spices. So oregano, sage, thyme, lavender, turmeric, ginger, onions, garlic, raw honey, good salt. Don't ever underestimate gargling some good warm salt water when you have a sore throat. You know? I remember one time with Valeria, my naturopathic doctor, we thought Sheila had whooping cough. And she's like, just warm water with lemon and honey. And I was like, what? And because whooping cough is just inflammation in the larynx. And so that helps to bring that inflammation down when you drink it warm. And she's like, it's the best remedy for that. And then we add in antimicrobials. So I'll just say one thing is always know your limit. You know, you definitely go as far as you think that you can before you feel like you need to seek help in any way. Infection is, where you start looking at with herbal medicine, and you're treating people at home or encouraging good health at home. Every 24 hours, you want to see a shift and a change. But my little thing with ginger is actually amazing. And it can do a lot. It is my first go-to for any kind of sickness, not feeling good, pain. So, an easy way to keep it is just buy the organic rhizomes, and I just clean them really good. I don't even peel them. I chop them up, throw them in my Vitamix, cover them with a little bit of water, whir them up until they become a slurry, and then press that through like a nut bag or fine strainer, and then freeze it in ice cube trays. And then you just pop them out and put them in warm water whenever you need them.
So it's just like the liquid, not the pulp.
Not the pulp, but the pulp you can dry. If you want to lay it out flat, you can dry it, and then you can use it as powdered ginger also if you wanted to.
Right.
But yeah, so then you just strain it out, and then you just use that's a really strong ginger juice. And I always have that on hand. Like I said, for sickness, cramps, great anti-inflammatory. The only thing with ginger is that it's hot. It's heating. So if you are a hot person or Uncle Joe that's all hot faced and just kind of irritated all the time, if you give him a whole bunch of ginger, he's going to be more irritated, so that's the balance of finding a balanced energy in that realm. But but have that on hand. Again, these medicines, we've used spices in our food forever, is for thousands of years since we found that spices were able to be put in our food. And they would put it on meats to change the flavor of rancid meat. Sage is incredible for food poisoning. So you add it in.
Really?
You can take it for food poisoning, digestive issues as a tonic, just a little bit as a tonic. You don't need a lot of sage. Breaking fever if you drink it warm. If you drink it cold, it'll cool you down. Really good for sore throats. It can help somewhat with hormone production, like estrogen production. It can encourage the body that's, it doesn't have estrogen in it, but it can encourage the body to find its way. But it's drying. It's super drying. So sage you want to counteract with something else. You wouldn't do just sage. But as a culinary herb, like you don't get too much of any of those herbs when you're just cooking with them. And that's where you really want to. Like I would make a sicky soup every time my kids got sick, and we'd have thyme and oregano and sage in it, and bone broth, and lots of onions and garlics and mushrooms, and
That's the beauty of kitchen witching, like you said. Like you're not going to put so much sage in the soup that it's like over drying, because that would taste bad.
It would taste bad. I mean, I love sage, but like that would taste bad.
It'd be too much. You're just
totally
going to put enough to balance it, and then in combination with all these other foods and the broth and blah blah blah, it's just like a nice balancing additive, and I've branched out past the normal kitchen herbs. Like I keep like a big shaker of like nettles, and I'll just put like some nettles in my soup. Like why not? It's not going to be too much nettles, and nettles has a lot of like minerals and like calcium and stuff, I'm pretty sure. Like, so why not just add, like you can I feel like the kitchen is a really safe place to kind of experiment with adding some of these like pretty beginner friendly herbs like nettles or alfalfa or things that are just like easy to incorporate.
Yeah. So like really sticking to nourishing herbs and pantry type herbs.
Yeah.
And then being kind to your herbs as they're like, as you have them in storage. Some of us might still have our grandmother's herbs like back in our pantry somewhere. Leafier ones a year to year and a half. Use your senses to smell it, right?
Yeah.
Rooty ones can go a little bit longer than that, but change them out, put them in your compost, feed them to your plant. Don't just throw them away, give them back to the earth.
Yeah.
kind of rotate them so that they stay fresh.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have plenty of medicine in our kitchen for sure that, and those nutritive herbs, that weedy herbs, dandelion,
Yeah.
like so many herbs that you can just like grow and consume and be helpful in your life for sure.
Yeah, and you can just have fun with it. Like there's
Yeah.
no real rules,
Yeah.
you could add some dandelion root to, like I've added dandelion root to my broth before.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
why not?
They're all food based. That's like food.
Yeah.
Oh, rosemary. We didn't even talk about rosemary.
Rosemary.
Like another one that's always in people's pantries. That one is basically kind of panacea like it does so many different things, from cognitive function to anti-inflammatory and pain. Like these are all just regular herbs, that should be incorporated into every day.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone, if you've ever cooked in your kitchen and used spices, you're doing a form of herbalism,
Yeah.
And I do think it's important too, like, I've started even getting some of those herbs from, like, you maybe don't want to do, like McCormick, like maybe we could all upgrade some of I just keep the old container, and then I just sometimes I'll buy in bulk from Natty G's, like organic spices, and put those in my spice containers. But you can also buy a lot of this at herb shops, and then you're really getting high quality herbs as opposed to just like McCormick, heavy metal, who knows.
Yeah, I mean, we do organic is always best in that realm. To seek those out. I mean, growing them would be even better because there's like like Mediterranean plants really grow easy everywhere.
Yeah.
Some people can grow basil and it just gets out of control,
Yeah.
So that would be like the funnest part because then you control everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But even in the commerce nowadays, because herbalism is so much more popular, 2020 really, like amped it up in the herbal world. We're finding even some of like the big companies that are selling herbs, or their quality is kind of getting weird. So we have to be kind of critical thinking, really thinking about where you're getting your plants at and the impact that it has as a whole. And then what type, using those weedy herbs is really vital to us. They're here for a reason, right? So those plants grow really abundantly, and the tenaciousness of dandelion is unreal. People have been trying to eradicate it forever out of their gardens. And it's like, hell no, I'm still here because we need it.
Yeah.
There's so many different herbs out there that grow so abundantly in the wild, and we're just throwing them out.
Yeah.
This is where I try to guide people to kind of look more into finding those again, rather than the impact of harvesting some plant that's endangered or something.
Oh yeah, we have this weed that grows in our front yard, and it's like, we have dandelions, but we also have this other one that's so spiky, and it is just like the strongest plant. Like I was like, do you have medicinal value? Because you can survive everything. Like, could I survive everything if I started taking you?
You? Totally.
What are you?
Yeah.
I don't think that it really does. It might. I don't know. I couldn't. There's like so many variations. I didn't get into it, but yeah, just looking at like you said, I also think it's important to look at like what grows around you, what's in your area, because there's a lot of medicine, and I think it's going to be more impactful for our bodies if it's from our climate and our habitat than finding some herb from Peru or like Africa that just isn't going to, not to say there's never a place for that. Like you could have some very specific thing you're working on with a clinical herbalist and they bring it in, and that's great. But like for your go-tos, for your day-to-day, like there's so much in your environment.
Totally. And if you go even a little farther with that and believe in the draw of your own spirit, like where you're at provides medicine for you. So like, I live in the Sonoran Desert. So like there's plants here that I need to work with. Like my body has called me to be in this space to consume certain things so that I can heal. Like, it'll bring you to your healing.
Right.
So yeah, with respect and kindness, like harvesting plants, you want to know exactly what plant it is, and you want to know that it is abundant. You don't want to be taking out the last little golden seal that's hidden in a forest somewhere,
Right.
You definitely want to, identify that well. And then don't harvest plants that are close to roads. Like they'll take on their environment. So if it's toxic environment, it's going to take it on. So be careful with that kind of stuff. But get out there and learn them.
Yeah.
Just sit with them and learn them. Because it's not only consuming the plants that's the medicine. Like I've sat or just called in certain plants into my awareness, and I can feel how it affects my body because I know it.
Right.
I've been introduced to it, and so it's just like if a good friend brings me comfort, I can just think of that friend and I feel comfortable.
Right.
So it's the same with the plants. So get to know them in their environment where they're at, and smell them and see them and sit with them and hang out.
Yeah, and never in braiding sweetgrass, they talk about like never taking the first plant that you see. And also not taking more. I think they say like 50% in that book, but I've heard 10%.
Yeah, 10%.
I'm like, that 50% seems like a lot.
It seems like a lot.
We could just,
but maybe back then,
right.
Because it is becoming popular and people are going out there. There was like, I was an herbalist down in Tucson that was like, posting about, so the prickly pears here are pretty big when they come out.
Yeah.
And so they shared their knowledge about prickly pear, and it was on a forum that I don't think the person really mediates. And I happened to be on it too. And so this was like a couple years ago, because we've had such a dry couple years. And people went out and harvested buckets of prickly pear fruits, like buckets. And then they get on the forum and are like, okay, now I have this giant bucket of this prickly pear fruit. What do I do with it now? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like you just literally took all of that, but didn't even know what you were going to do with it. You had to have a plan beforehand. So how much of that medicine did people harvest and just waste because they didn't understand what to do with it, or found out it was too difficult to work with in some way?
Right.
So that's even like something like you would never need to take more than what we need in that moment,
Right.
I know that aspect of feeling scarcity and like wanting to have as much as you need to have is a thing, but it's becoming more and more popular. So all of us have to be stewards.
Right.
All of us have to think about it.
Right. And it is like in braiding sweetgrass, they talk about how actually like harvesting the plants is good for the plants. Like they tend to grow more in abundant because it's like you're in a relationship with them, and you're taking some and then caring for it, and it grows and flourishes. But I liked what you said about like growing the plants, because you're right. Now there's so many people who are working with the plants, which is beautiful and great and wonderful, but we also need to steward the plants, and like, can we grow some ourselves? And can we, create more of the plants in addition to working with them and ensure that these plants are growing? Because like when I was going to formulate Immunitink, I don't remember what herb I wanted to use, but the herbalist there was like, that herb's really, what's the word where it's not, it's like scarce.
It was endangered.
Yeah.
To watch for, yeah.
So she was like, why don't we try Oregon grapefruit? Like it grows here, there's more of it, and it's like a good swap. So I think it's also good to listen from teachers and people who have that awareness of like, this is endangered, like we could also use this, and this is more abundant and grows easily.
Yeah. United Plant Savers is a good place to look at. UPS, United Plant Savers, for endangered and to watch out plants, because Rosemary Gladstar started it, and it's keeping an eye on our wild plants out there, because they're in the climate for a reason. They serve a really big purpose in their region, wherever they're growing at.
Totally.
And if we take them out, then they're not part of that anymore.
Yeah.
So it's important to protect them, to let them have their voice and protect them. And when you grow it, then you don't have to worry about it, right? Like that's your plant that you nourished and you harvest, and you can do whatever you want with it and move on. But yeah. Sticking to the weedy ones is good.
Yeah. Feverfew. I planted feverfew just because I just saw the seeds and I was like, those are pretty. Like I just feel drawn to this plant, and I planted it, and then it was like, it was all over this whole area, and it's abundant. So I have a lot of feverfew. Maybe I'll mail you some.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll take some for sure. Awesome.
But before we wrap up, I was wondering if you had any like good starting points in terms of like other herbalists or books or where you buy herbs, or just like a good, like starting point for people who are maybe just getting into this? Like where might they be able to look for more information besides yourself?
Yeah. So there's learningherbs.com that you can be part of. They have a ton of information. Rosalie de Florette is another incredible herbalist that gives out a lot of free information. She has a podcast too. Book wise, like kind of sticking in with like Rosemary Gladstar has a lot of really great books, easy to kind of navigate. She's my spirit animal. My community page on my website has a lot more. And if they have websites, there's hyperlinks that you can go to.
Okay.
There are herb shops. So there's a few herb shops that you can order from. Can I just mention the shops themselves? Yeah. There's Desert Sage Herbs in Chandler. That's where I work. And then there's Southwest Herbs if you're in Arizona. There's online stores. Mountain Rose Herbs is pretty good for an online order. What else is really good for online ordering? Be careful with Etsy. I know a lot of people are buying stuff from Etsy, not to discount all of them. I don't really have an Etsy, but I have found an increase of people buying herbs off of Etsy.
Yeah.
You really want to know who's harvesting your plants,
Right.
Yeah. And then I'm starting a project with another incredible herbalist, Wild Weeds Collectives. And so we'll have a lot of education on there. We're really pushing the wild weeds, the sustainable herbalism, because as it does get on the raise, like we had a huge shift between that 2020 and the first couple of years where there wasn't a lot of plants because we had to wait. Plants grow on their own time, so we had to wait for cultivators to catch up with the demand.
Right.
And so we really want to be wise of that with like golden seal and ginsengs in particular, make sure that we're not over harvesting them and that there's other replacements that we can do, So, yeah.
And do you still have classes on your website?
Yeah. So I do a lot of my in-person classes are in Chandler, Arizona. And then there's also, I usually offer live stream with a lot of those too. So you can do them virtually. I do have some of my classes up on my website that are pre-recorded already that you can purchase.
Like Kitchen Witchin' is on your website, isn't it?
Yeah. So I have that. I think a pet one. And,
I took the pet one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That one was great.
Yeah, those pets, man, they're a big part of our life. So it's really important to keep them all. Dogs in particular react really well to herbs. Yeah. So it's super easy. Yeah.
Yeah. When my dog was having diarrhea and I turned to that, like, cause you get I think at least I got a write-up with it too.
All my classes come out with handouts.
Yeah. So then I just have the handout actually in my kitchen. We have this like folder thing and it has the like different classes I've taken of yours and my protocols that I've gotten from you, and I'll just reference them. And I was like, okay, I can give him, I don't remember what I gave him, but he had diarrhea, and so I was giving him a bunch of stuff that you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So Natalia's got a lot of information, and I'll put her contact information, her website, her Instagram, all of the things in the show notes. But what will you tell them your Instagram right now, just in case they want to listen and look it up while they're?
Yes, Natalija Marie.
Yeah.
You want to spell it?
Yeah, spell it.
Natalija.
Yeah.
And then Marie, Marie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then that's my website also.com. And then I have a Facebook, and I think it's similar, but maybe something slightly different. Sorry.
It's okay. I'll put it all down, and so they can just scroll down and click and find you. And, Natalija does herbal consultations. You can work with her. She's phenomenal. She will, it's kind of nice actually that it's a 2-hour appointment. You get to like talk about yourself for 2 hours.
Yeah. And people need that. Yeah. Like people just want to be heard,
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. You sit down and tell, all the things that are going on. She really looks at like you as a whole person, and then creates you not just like a herbal formula or a tincture, but like an herbal formula, a tincture, some dietary stuff, supplements, even like mindfulness and things like that you can do. And then you just get this nice little handout that has it all in one place so you can reference it at any time. And I reference mine all the time. And you also, like, I was like, I want to make my own. So you just told me how I can make like this much tea, like a quarter cup of this and a whatever cup of this. And, so it feels good to like be a part of the process,
Yeah. Yeah, totally. That's the whole thing, is to have somebody who wants to be involved with their own well-being is the easiest part of doing this work.
But then if you're too busy, you can just go to Desert Sage or call I've had Desert Sage ship me my tincture.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the apothecary that I use. They have a really big apothecary. So all my clients, I do all mine virtually for my herbal consults.
Yeah.
And then I just email it over to Desert Sage, and then they take it from there and fill everything that needs to be filled. So
yeah,
it's easy.
Yeah, it's great. So then they just mail me a tincture, and then I just take it every day.
Yeah.
It's really great. And I just really appreciate you taking the time. I would love to do another podcast about hormones specifically.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, because I think that that's like a huge topic in the collective consciousness right now, is hormones. So I would love to get your grounded approach to that as well, because we were talking briefly and I think you've got a lot of wisdom to share there as well.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah.
But thank you for taking the time. We got this great overview of, I feel like, herbalism just getting started. And, I feel like even people, like, I've been working with the plants for a while and I still learned things. Like, I didn't know that about sage and beavers and stuff. So there's always more to learn. And I'm sure even you yourself are always learning more.
Yeah. You'll never finish learning with herbalism, for sure.
Yeah.
In life, I guess, in general.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for taking the time. And
yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening. I hope that you all got something from this. And I hope that if you feel inspired to work with Natalija, that you call her, contact her, and really just use her wisdom, because she's phenomenal. So thank you so much, Natalija.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right, bye everyone. See you next Monday.
Still hazy, funk past J's, a face of blunt ashtrays and skate with punk kids. I still chase the sun, bad days, I'm lacing up half cabs and shake John spliffs. Whatever happened to rap, it should rest in peace to Mac, and I'm here to raise it from the dead. Cause drugs ain't cool, kid, plug you with that new shit, turn water to wine and break bread. And if I said this all the future, would you trust I told the truth, or would you run away and tell my whole fan base? Cause sooner or later, kid, they'll take your human nature and they'll burn you at the stakes while the band plays. So, in the last words, better speak up now. I said, why do birds sing? What's a king without a crown? They all stood in silence while they listened to the sound of a madman reason with the demons he found. You can't lock up ideas, we don't even exist. I just live through the speakers and the beats that we kick. Is this forbidden fruit from the Garden of Eden? Is it freedom of speech, or am I speaking for freedom?